Chapter 4 Robbing the Dead Man. Anne walked out of the regional public health promoting hospital to where she parked the motorcycle with enthusiasm. Today, she and her husband were going to celebrate their 1-year anniversary. Of course, she had to dress nicely and look her best, waiting for her beloved husband to pick her up from home. You could call it luck that she found a partner who lives near her work. Anne's husband owns a garage. The two met by accident when the man dropped by at the hospital to consult about getting a tetanus booster after he was cut by a metal. He showed up for a second time with food specifically for Anne. That was 2 years ago. She rode her motorcycle from the hospital to the community. Today, she chose another path to go home because she wanted to stop by one of her patients' house to check out the wound she just helped cleaning. When she veered into a narrow alleyway on the right, she noticed something unusual. There was a dark silhouette in the middle of the road. When Anne rode her motorcycle closer, she found that it was a corpse of a black puppy. Its head was shattered as if something crushed it. Crimson blood splashed all over the road. Anne covered her mouth, trying to muffle up her sound. She immediately accelerated to leave the area. The puppy must have been run over by a car. She tried to erase that distressing image from her mind. Anne rode her motorcycle for another 100 meters and found another carcass on the side of the road. It was a black chicken that looked like it was recently killed. The blood was still vivid red flowing out of its neck. "What's happening here?" Anne muttered and slowed down the vehicle, trying to look around for something unusual. She tried to convince herself that the very same car must have been driving so fast that it hit the puppy and then the chicken. "Anne!" The young nurse jumped at the sound of a woman. She trampled on a brake and turned her head. Auntie Comue, a diabetes patient whom Anne knew very well, walked to her. "Anne, did you see that?" What?" Anne's voice quivered slightly. "Lots of strange things happened recently. Animals died like flies. And so do the sick people. Funerals are happening everywhere." Auntie Comoy shook her head. "The village headman asked whether we should get together and make merit at the temple. Things might be better." "It sounds like a good idea, Auntie Yu. I also have a bad feeling about this." Talking with Comue made her fear dwindle slightly. "You know, someone told me there's a ghoul roaming in the village recently," Comue whispered. "It must have come from Southern's house. That family raises a ghoul, but it must have starved, so now it comes out in search of flesh and blood. Uncle Ed's 3 chickens have died. Auntie Shree's little dog has also gone missing. The ghoul must be so hungry that it brings ill people with them to Underworld." A superstition and local people were inseparable. Even Anne, who graduated from the School of Health Science, also believed in supernatural that she had been told since her childhood. Although she was scared, she tried to calm down and find other principles or reasonable explanation as an anchor. "It might be some sort of animal epidemic, Auntie. I'll tell the police to investigate this." "It's not a disease, Anne. The animals were killed. That chicken was butchered. That dog was beaten to death." The plump woman spoke with confidence. "It's the ghoul, Anne, I tell you. We must find the person it possesses." Anne shouldn't have feared the unproven existence of that thing, but the eyes filled with confidence of the middle-aged lady before her made her start getting goosebumps from her head to her arms. "I'll have an officer look into this." Anne insisted on her words before she accelerated her bike and left the road as quick as possible. Hey, I've got to go. Have you arrived at the crime scene? Almost. I still miss you. Wasan intentionally exhaled into the phone so that the person at the end of the line could hear. He took a glance at Sergeant Narong, who was driving and acting like he wasn't listening. You should hurry back to work. Sure, I'll call you again after work. You know, people don't have to call each other 3 times a day after meals the way you prescribe your patients. Wasan spoke in a firm voice. The baritone at the end of the line laughed. And you don't have to use that tone, like you use with a criminal, with me. Keep working hard, and don't forget to find something to eat. Wasan hung up and kept the phone into his bag. When he looked back to his left, he saw that Sergeant Narong was glancing at him with a slight smile. You don't have to be shy, Captain. Talking to your girlfriend in front of others isn't that bad. Not a girlfriend, Sergeant. Wasan put on his police hat. Not yet. The crime scene was half-timbered house in the village area, 3 kilometers from the main road. It was in one of the most closely packed community areas. Wasan received a report of a break-in, and some property in the house was stolen. The informant was the daughter of the recently deceased owner. When he stepped out of the car, the first thing that caught Wasan's eyes was a coffin with a blanket of flowers and a photo of the male deceased in front of it. After listening to the daughter of the late house owner, it appeared that her father just passed away from a terminal stage colorectal cancer yesterday. This morning, after the first night ride, the daughter found a trace of the break-in through the window. Valuable items such as gold necklaces and the cash that her father kept were all gone. Is there something else missing? Wasan inspected around the bed that once belonged to the owner of the house. No, sir. Mostly they were Daddy's gold and money. The grievous young woman said while wiping her tears away. There are lots of guests attending the funeral yesterday. Many of them walked in and out of the house. Honestly, I have no idea who did this. If it's convenient to enter and exit, then there was no need to break in and enter through the window. Wasan pointed at the wooden window that had signs of forced entry. I think that the burglar entered after you went to bed. Did anyone stay behind for the reception after the funeral? I asked the guests not to stay too late for the drinks, so everyone left around 11 p.m. I closed the door and got some rest because I was exhausted from several nights of looking after my dad until the day he passed away. I fell asleep as soon as my head hit the pillow. When I woke up, I saw that some items were stolen. I've even checked my dad's gold necklace before I went to bed. Wasan looked at the basket full of medicine bags on the headboard. He saw a bottle of liquid drug with the word morphine written on it. His thought wandered to Dr. Guntabat. He must be a specialist in this kind of drug. Is that the medicine belong to your father? Yes. I still can't throw it away. It's hard to get rid of something that belonged to your loved one. The young lady wiped away her tears with the back of her hand. Wasan nodded. I understand. My mom just passed away too. He took a glance at the doctor appointment letter of the patient named Mr. Nippo Kongkom, placing near the medicine bags. The appointer was Dr. Guntapat. Captain Wasan furrowed his eyebrows. Wherever he went, this name would appear, especially when it was associated with terminal patients. Captain? A man's voice called Wasan from the front of the house. We know who did it. What? Wasan swiftly walked outside. He then saw a chaotic scene of 2 men dragging a thin man towards him. Wasan knitted his eyebrows when he smelled alcohol emitting from the man. Then the man who called out for Wasan handed him the gold necklace and a stack of cash to him. I saw this guy took a stack of coins out in the grocery nearby. He stole money to buy some liquors. Put him behind bars. No, not me, The accused struggled to break free from the capture.
Last night, I drank at a tiny bar near the street, and someone handed them to me. I didn't steal from this house.
Liar! You're caught red-handed! You're the one who took them! A female villager in the crowd shouted out in a high-pitched voice.
Are these items your father's?
Wasan handed a gold necklace and a stack of cash to the young lady. She nodded her head while receiving the stolen items, with tears rolling all over her face. Yes, they are.
Hey!
A sudden shout of the man who was holding the suspect attracted Captain Wasan's attention. The drunkard took the opportunity when everyone was focused on the house owner, jerking himself loose, and swiftly ran away to the front yard. Without hesitating, Wasan took off with the speed towards the suspect who was trying to escape. He was strong and fast, so only a few seconds he caught up with the thin man who reeked of liquor and charged at him. The momentum sent the two of them tumbling down the road. Wasan mounted on the suspect, sat on top of him, and put his hands behind his back.
I swear I wasn't a thief, officer,
the man cried out while Wasan was handcuffing him.
Let's talk at the police station.
Wasan stood up, letting Sergeant Narang pull the culprit up. Although the drunkard kept saying that he wasn't the one who stole the stuff in the house, and claimed that a man dressed in black, wearing a hygienic mask, was the one who gave him the cash and the necklace, Wasan still wasn't convinced about this story. They had to investigate further into this and gather more evidence. At least the young lady, who had just lost her beloved father, had already got the treasure of sentimental value back.
Captain, no matter how wealthy or powerful you are, death is inevitable.
Gun's words sent chills down Wasan's spine.
There's only two types of deaths, a good death and a bad one. It depends on the merits you've been doing. Your merits lead you to a peaceful death, while your sins lead to indescribable suffering.
Wasan turned to look at his conversation partner, who was strolling beside him. Right now, they were walking on the sidewalk in front of the market full of late-night restaurants. Gun still wore his short lab coat over his shirt, which was considered a unique trait of clothing. There was a golden pen in his lab coat's pocket, and Wasan didn't care to ask how expensive it was.
There's no way a normal person could discuss this stuff with such calmness. You're saying I'm not normal? Yes, you're a strange doctor.
Gun laughed.
Actually, the suffering of birth, aging, sickness, and death is an unavoidable truth. I've learned and understood all of this cycle of life. When people were born, they came to obstetricians. When they were just a kid, they went to pediatricians. When they were old and sick, they went to other specialists. And when they were about to die, they needed a doctor like me. Ever since I was born, I've never met anyone obsessed with death. I mean, I studied this kind of stuff. Obsessed about a good and a peaceful death is more like it.
Gun's eyes seemed brighter with enthusiasm when he got to speak about the topic he had been researching for so long to someone. Wasan stopped to look at Gun's handsome face.
What kind of 33-year-old man is so interested in death? The kind of man who wants the older guy to think I'm interesting and outstanding?
Gun smiled broadly.
So that maybe he'd turn this way and accept my feelings?
Wasan could feel the corner of his lip curl up into a smile, but he tried to control his poker face so that the other man wouldn't see. When was the last time he had acted like a boy having a crush on somebody like this? However, he did not want to express himself too much.
When you took care of my mom, did she tell you about me? Many things. What did she say? Well...
Gun took the liberty of touching Wasan's back while they were walking.
She said you're a little devil of the family. You're so much younger than your brothers. You like to make them worried about you, but in the end, You gave them the peace of mind by getting into the Royal Police Cadet Academy. Become a cop, and the pride of the family. She said she's proud of you." Wasan closed his eyes. What Gun said was all true. Mom must have trusted you very much, otherwise she wouldn't tell you so many things. She also told me she was worried that you're still single, and you've never brought a girlfriend to meet her. Gun looked at Wasan with a gentle smile. She always wanted a daughter-in-law. It would make her even more devastated if I brought a man home instead. You're quite bold. I knew that I'm gay even before I joined the Royal Police Cadet Academy. I realized it when I thought of pushing a male senior onto bed. They burst out at the same time. Right now, the atmosphere between the two was so relaxing. Gun noticed that it was a great timing, so he moved his hand up to hold the other man's shoulder. Wasan didn't reject the action. Everything between them was so simple. They meet, said hello, got to know each other, and now they were getting closer. Wasan could see that they would continue moving forward, but how far it would go was hinged on destiny. "Can I go to your place?" Wasan asked the question that every listener would know how flirtatious it was. Suddenly, Gun's expression changed. His hand, once on Wasan's shoulder, moved back to its owner's side. That relaxing atmosphere became tense. "Had we better go to the hotel?" Wasan knitted his eyebrows before quickly looking downward. He didn't know why Gun's attitude changed like this when he talked about home. Well, he forgot that he wasn't in a position to enter another man's house whenever he wanted. They might need more time to get closer. "I forgot to ask if you're okay to bring me over to your house. How about we go to your place? Right now, I'm staying with my brother and his wife. I'm afraid I can't take you there. A hotel seems to be our best choice." Gun bent down and nuzzled Wasan's earlobe and neck. Wasan felt like an electric current ran down from his head to his arms. Gun's baritone voice made him unable to move further. The doctor's mystery and danger strangely intrigued Wasan, as if the adrenaline rushed through his entire body. "Shall we go now?" He didn't understand why he brought himself into this situation with a man he just met for only a few weeks. The man whom he still considered a stranger but strangely attractive. He wanted to know more about him. He wanted to know what the man thinks, to be near him, to be touched by him, hugged by him, kissed by him. He wanted to challenge that dangerous aura emanating from his seductive gaze and voice which were hard to refuse. Wasan knew that he was playing with fire, but he felt like it was worth the risk. Wasan's strong body was voluntarily bared to the man before him. He watched the tall man who was bracing himself above him. Yes, they were getting far beyond what they intended, but Wasan begged not to have sex this time. Gun gladly cooperated. Only the touch on their bodies was enough to set Wasan on fire, and he could feel that the doctor encountered the same fate. Every kiss from Gun was firm, while his hands caressed Wasan's skin, making him forget himself. The hand around his manhood moved passionately that Wasan couldn't think of anything else, except the touch from the man in front of him. How long as the time flew, he couldn't quite tell. In the end, their fire of lust was extinguished with satisfaction. "Wasan," Gun spoke while kissing on the man's neck. The two naked bodies were cuddling on the bed when Gun took Wasan by his chin and made him look back at him. "I think we're getting along well." "You think so?" Wasan closed his eyes to accept the taste of the kiss that another man gently gave him. "Is it too soon to ask you to be my boyfriend?" Wasan went silent for a long time. "Too soon." Gun's sharp eyes looked at him pleadingly. "But I like you very much." That's not gonna work. It's too soon.
Wasan put his hand over the handsome face and pushed him away. He snatched a towel up to cover his body and turned back to Gun.
What just happened was a part of the process of getting to know each other. You'll say yes before long. I'm positive that we'll be great together.
Gun kissed Wasan on the cheek one more time before rolling over to switch off the light at the headboard.
Don't be so cocky.
Gun smiled in the dark and draped his arm over his bedmate, sharing the warmth of his body to give the other man a good night's sleep.
Good night, Wasan.